hierarchical, 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 hierarchical order of two. Each ring plays its part in the. Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I do faith-based videos and also a journey of my life. So please do hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Welcome back to my book review series. This will be episode 3. I would suggest you to watch episode 1 and 2 of my book review. It will be here somewhere. Let's get into it. Continue with the book Let Me Be a Woman by Elisabeth Elliot. If those who have watched my episode 1 and 2, you already have idea what this book is about. I will continue with chapter 35, Heirs of Grace. Grace is something that we get from our Lord, right? As a Christian, as a Christ follower, we all have grace. So this book is about femininity, masculinity, and this is a gift to her daughter Valerie as she's stepping into marriage, right? So here this will be like relating to marriage and like men and women. Here the author, it's starting with a line, right? Those times they would use a typewriter to write their books. So the author Elisabeth is also, as she is typing down this chapter that I'm reading now, she's looking out at her window and noticing how like everything is in order, everything is falling in place. Like picture a rapid nibbling clover just under the window, and two men are standing in a small motor boat that moves by in the harbor. And two mourning doves. Imagine telephone wire, and there are two mourning doves sitting side by side, and the wild roses are in full bloom now. Like the wild roses are in full bloom now, nearly covering the split rail fence across the road. So this kind of scenery, she's finding it hard to stay at the typewriter. As in a good way, she's distracted, admiring the beauty. And at this moment, and as she's writing at that moment, she also received a letter from her daughter from Amsterdam. Now her daughter is already married, so they're married and they're sending letters to each other. So you wrote of a small vine-covered thatched cottages and tall, majestic stone houses of windows with cheerless bordered curtains and an abundance of plants and flowers of neat farmland with canals bordering each plot. And even her daughter is right now at Amsterdam, and they are sending letters to each other and communicating to each other. So as she's reading her daughter's letter, she finds that even the daughter is admiring Amsterdam and telling her mom about something about Amsterdam, how the cheerless bordered curtains and the vine-covered cottages in the Amsterdam, and with the abundance of plants and flower. Imagine, like, she is also noticing the order and the cleanliness of that. And just now we talked about how the author was admiring the order and cleanliness of the doves sitting side by side on the telephone wire, and full bloom wild roses, everything in order, right? So this is a picture of the Cape Cod, that it is a charming town of rich men. It is like neat and orderly. There is beauty in neat order and cleanliness, and the routine work of men cutting the weeds from curbstones, the wider shingle cottages that have cottages with white curtains, very dreamy, and also neat vegetable gardens surrounded by wire fences to keep out the rabbits. So she's admiring, like, she can't help but notice the neat vegetables that are like kept in order by a wire fence. I can say a line or a boundary where it is the rabbit are out of order, so that the rabbit won't come and destroy the vegetables. And also this is also an order. So with this there is beauty, and she's admiring that. So all these descriptions, the author is trying to tell us that there is joy, like what joy she is feeling in the order and design. What is this joy which we feel in the order and design? Isn't it the same? So isn't this the same kind of pleasure that we find when everything is in pattern? As in, like, when you listen to music, if the notes say The singer and the musicians, their notes are not rhyming. One guitar is playing, say, some different genre, and the singer is singing a sad song, and the drummer is like all hip hop and all loud, and they're not following the pattern or the order. Would you enjoy the music? Would the beauty of the music come out? No, right? So when we see the rhythm or the predictability of the music, the pattern of an oriental rug, if you have a hobby of crocheting or any kind of knitting work, you know that everything comes in order. If the clothes, I mean the crochet work, everything comes in order when you're knitting it. If any one thread goes in goes in other way or not the order way that you are like counting and doing it, then just that one pattern that they're not following it, just say the thread decides that no, I don't want to go to the order this girl or this person is trying to take me. It's just an assumption and goes other way. How the beauty, though it will be beautiful, but you wouldn't help but keep noticing that small miss pattern, right? But when that but when the thread follows that pattern, like in the oriental rug or like I just said crochet, it's beauty there in the cleanliness and the order, right? So that's a pattern. So this is a pleasure that we see in these minute small things like music or the measured movements of a dance. I've also been a part of a dance, and like my friend, when she's teaching us, if there is a disorder, if you're listening to this, our choreographer, shout out to you. So if there is, whenever in our college functions like a dance or something, say we are 6 or 8 member of us, and this dance movement, yeah, doesn't have to be so perfect, but there's a pattern, right? You like, I have to do this, even they have to follow, we have to follow the same pattern. But what if the pattern in the movement of the dance is, suppose I decided to do something else, and then oh, the movement of the dance, the flow won't come out right. So there won't be any pleasure in watching the dance, right? And the unimprovable form of any true work of art, any work of art, just we can admire a work or a painting. Can you imagine the patience and the discipline that the artist would have taken to paint that? Like, this color will go here, this color will go there, and each layers of colors, a pattern, you know. So that is a true work of art. And our joy is in the very discipline of the thing. I think this order very much points out the discipline. Like I've talked in episode 1 and 2 about self-discipline and order, we how it how when we apply it in one's life it shows, right? So in everyday managed non-living things also we find we find beauty in that, right? And see, our joy, we find joy in the very order of the thing. The discipline doesn't stifle, it gives power. It makes beauty possible. So with discipline comes beauty. So this is a very good example that all these examples that I've given, these are very much good example that proves the point that discipline comes out with the discipline of how the things work, right? So this our joy is in the very discipline of the thing. The discipline doesn't stifle, it gives power, it makes beauty possible. Why shouldn't it be so when we consider the glorious hierarchical 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 order of two. Each being plays its part in the music. Like I said, each being plays its part in. So with all these examples, the author is trying to point out that each part like plays its part in the music, in the pattern, in the dance, and played in a chord. You love having talk, but don't like this moment when they're interrupting you. You love having talks. What is this moment when they're interrupting you? It's in the middle of the video, so let's get back. So with all this, the author is trying to point out that each being plays its part in the music, in the pattern, in the dance, and in playing it in accord with the creator's instructions finds its fullest joy. When the rabbits say the flowers, who do you think makes the time? I mean, who do you think sets the time for the flower to bloom. The seasons, the winter, autumn, summer, spring. Who do you think sets these seasons? They're always in order. They never miss, right? Summer comes in the mid of the year. Winter comes at the end of the year, right? So who do you think don't I think these months are more disciplined and more in order than us, right? Than us human beings. They don't miss their timeline, right? So who do you think makes this discipline or disorder? Obviously, the Creator, right? Our Father, our God. So when they're following the pattern, it brings out the beauty. Everything, harvesting, reaping, say the rivers. It's flowing, right? The winds that are blowing in the direction that the Creator has assigned, and the flowers blooming, everything. So, since they're playing it in accord with the creator's instructions, they find its full joy. And we are the one that are taking the pleasure of the world being in order and playing in accord with the creator's instructions, right? So this is all in all a grace, and there is no more beautiful expression in the Bible to describe. Thank you so much for being with me till here. I hope you have gained something from the author's perspective and also from my takeaways and my perspective. Let me know in the comment down what takeaways that you took from this video, and what would you apply it in your life, or what change in your perspective came from this video. I would love to read your comments. And if you've come this far, if you also want to check out my Bible study series Psalms, they will be here. And please do subscribe, like, share, comment, and I'll see you in my next video, next chapter takeaway. So I'll see you there. Bye.